And finally, we're rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. So this is hopefully going to be a one-take video. It's going to be long, so maybe get a coffee. Still, it has 3 parts. Part number 1, I'm going to show you around the setup because I'm using more than just the OBSBOT right now. So for you to get an overview of everything that's going on, that's what I'm going to do in part 1. Part 2 is a prepared video of an unboxing, so you're getting an idea of what you're getting with the unit and what accessories there are. And then part number 3, the main part. I'm currently recording the screen of my phone that I'm using to control the OBSBOT. And I'm going to show you around the user interface, and I'm going to show you all the features of this tiny, really. I mean, check this out. This is how tall this is. This is my hand. This is the OBSBOT, currently sitting on a little tabletop tripod. Yeah, I'm going to show you all the features and how they're executed, because this is quite the powerful little tool. Little 4K capable PTZ live streaming wondrous device, really. So let's get right into part number 1, and I'm going to use the OBSBOT itself to show you around a bit. So let's check this out. So this right here is the phone. You can hook up any other device via Wi-Fi to control the OBSBOT. Obviously, it has a system running on it, not just any device to control it. Then this is my multi-camera switcher. I'm currently running the camera signal and the OBSBOT signal into that switcher. And then that switcher is connected to my laptop via this cam link. Oops, sorry, my bad. Then the switcher is connected to my laptop via this cam link right here. The laptop is used for monitoring only, and I have to set something up here real quick so I'm getting the correct feed. There we go. So I'm not running any software on the monitor that has anything to do with the OBSBOT. I'm just using this for monitoring, and I'm using OBS in case you're wondering. Then let's quickly move all the way over here. This, just in case you're wondering, is the key light bounced off the wall. Now, right here, that's a bit overkill, I have to admit. This camera gives me, well, this shot right here. And that's really all that it's there for. All right, let's return to the basic angle, the starting angle, and let's reframe the shot a little to make it look nice so we can continue. Maybe like this. That looks all right. Okay, so now that you know what's going on, a camera, OBSBOT, switcher, cam link, laptop, and phone, I have prepared a little unboxing video that I'm going to narrate over, and that is, hopefully, what's next. There we go. Overall, first things first, very nice packaging. I got the OBSBOT, and on the left you can see the remote control, and on the right the Ethernet adapter. One after the other, really nice packaging. Right out of the bat, that has to be said. Warranty card, user manual, and right here, much appreciated, little transport box for the OBSBOT unit and some cables. Because obviously this is a travel-friendly product, given its size. Now, cable that's supplied, that is a USB-C to USB-C cable, 3 to 4 feet long, decent length actually. Then this is a single to dual USB-C adapter. So you can simultaneously hook up 2 USB cables, obviously, which would also help in connecting the Ethernet adapter and still running power. So you can do that simultaneously. Then this, in case your power supply doesn't feature USB-C, this is a simple USB-C to USB-A adapter. Then the unit itself, nice gunmetal gray finish, the Knight Rider version of a status LED on the pan head, pretty cool. And 4 little status LEDs vertically aligned on the bottom half right here, indicating 25, 50, 75, and 100% battery power. Well, the finish is really nice. It's plastic, but really high quality. You can see the pan and tilt mechanism for a second there. Maybe we can see it again. Well, let's continue. This right here, that is the micro SD slot. So you can record, or you can choose different ways to record, either to the streaming service you're using, to the device you're using to control, or you can also record locally within the OBSBOT or inside the OBSBOT using this micro SD card. Below that is a micro HDMI connector that I'm currently using to feed the signal of the OBSBOT into my multi-camera switcher. Below that, some fans for dissipating heat, and then right here the on-off button, and below that USB-C power connection and data connection, of course. Two things. On my left hand, you can see a little cartridge that's currently sealed, so you can't actually see it, but that can be used to attach a Wi-Fi module. So pretty cool indeed if you're using this as a completely standalone device, only controlled by a remote control, not via a phone. You can still connect to a Wi-Fi signal. And given that the setup is correct, start streaming. Then below is a 3.5mm input for an external mic in case you want to record better audio than the OBSBOT delivers with its internal microphones. Much appreciated, because you can hook up a little shotgun mic, I'm going to demonstrate that later, or a wireless lavalier or a lavalier. So you have the option for external audio. Much appreciated. Then on the bottom, a 1/4" mount and another connector. You can connect this to a base that allows you 360 degrees rotation continuously, because the OBSBOT doesn't allow for the full 360 degrees if you're just using the unit. So there's this base plate. I think it's called Play More. I'm going to let you see that right here. And that would be an accessory that connects to this connector on the bottom, just in case you're wondering, because I was when I first checked the unit out. Then on top, let's check out the panning, the tilting, and the camera module. Pretty good camera. It's an f1.8 aperture, so it lets in a lot of light, which is good in low light situations, especially if you have a small sensor like the OBSBOT does. That doesn't really give you any depth of field, and that is very dependent on a fast lens, which this offers, because if you raise the ISO, well, in a low light situation, the image is going to be a bit noisy really quickly. I wouldn't push this above 400 if you want a super clean image. You can, of course, no problem whatsoever. This is a streaming device. 23mm viewing angle. We have digital zoom, no optical zoom, but 23mm, that is a full frame equivalent, is decently wide. It's actually a very good choice in my opinion. Yeah, overall, very nice looking camera, very nice design. That's the OBSBOT unit. Next up, that's a remote control. Pretty cool thing, because you can use a laser pointer and control 3 separate OBSBOTs with one remote control. It connects via Bluetooth, and it has basically all the functionality for at least controlling the OBSBOT that also the app has. With the distinct difference that it's pretty easy and fast to control 3 different OBSBOTs with this remote. I skipped over the power cable, which is a USB-C to USB-A that also gets delivered with the remote control. And as you can see right here, you can start and stop, or you can turn on and off the device. You can take a photo, start, stop recording, switch from human to animal tracking. You get a little laser pointer, so you know you're hitting the OBSBOT. When remote controlling one, you have P1, 2, and 3 for pre-selected framing, how that works in a moment. And on the bottom, 1, 2, and 3, that's selecting the individual OBSBOTs you can connect this to. Then on the side, you have a zoom rocker for digital zoom. Let's wait until, oh yeah, and obviously pretty nice little stick right here. Very good haptic feedback. Overall, very well designed, and yeah, feels good in your hand. Yeah, this is the zoom rocker for digital zoom. Below that, the on and off switch. And right here, if by the release of this video I have figured out what this connects to via this, these connectors, I should say, on the side, I will let you know right here. On the top quarter part of this remote control, a bit hidden, the USB-C connector for charging the remote control. Yeah, so this obviously hooks up to something else. And that's where the laser sits. yeah, I'm gonna let you know right here what this may or may not hook up to. Maybe a proprietary monitor. That would be super cool. Now this is the Ethernet adapter. So if you're using this as a standalone device or within an array, within a network configuration inside a studio, for example, you can hook this Obsbit Tail Air up to a modem or a router directly, and you can also simultaneously charge the Obsbit. Obviously has a warranty card and a user guide, pretty simple design. Long cable, which is appreciated. I mean, at least 4 feet, I think. It's decently long, not too short, and it's a USB-C cable. Yeah, and I think that's it. That's all the things that I got, and I'm currently using everything except the adapter, the Ethernet adapter. So we're right back here, jumping into part number 3 of the video. How do you control this thing and what can it do? So I'm recording the screen right now, and this is the menu we're going to take a look at on the side, and right here on the bottom, this is also what we're going to take a look at. But before we do that, let's get a quick overview of the UI. Like up here, that's your live feed. That's what you're actually streaming. And next to it, audio meters. Always good to know whether you're recording audio and whether they meter correctly. Then down here, that's for taking a photo. Tap to take a photo. And this is obviously for recording, and I'm currently recording. Then up here, you can see how long you've been recording. And then this top option of the, well, left side menu, this would exit the app, which of course I'm not want to do right now. Then down here, this is interesting, and it's going to change later on once we set a couple of things up. This shows you all the options you have as far as framing is concerned. So everything else we're going to set up, and everything else that AI can do will show up here, so you're getting a nice overview of all your angles. Very convenient. Then right here, very good, camera controls. Pro features, I'd say. Currently, I'm using this in auto mode, auto exposure mode, to give you a better idea of what this thing does. And right now, it exposes pretty much exactly right. Obviously, if you tap A, well, not obviously, but you can go into manual exposure mode, select an ISO in doubling steps from 100 to 6400. So basically, you're doubling the light if you move up, or halving the light, moving in one stop exposure increments. This is currently overexposed, but in manual mode, I can also select a shutter speed ranging from 1/25th all the way to 1/8000th. So pretty versatile. Well, I'd say probably if I did it manually, 1/200th would be a good exposure. Now, I guess I'm going to leave this in auto. I just wanted to show you that you have the option to manually dial in your image, which is very good. Then down here, 3 options for autofocus. Currently using AFC, autofocus continuous. Everything it recognizes, faces are prioritized, it focuses on, as it does right now, for example. Another option, autofocus single. If you're in autofocus single mode, you have to tap to focus. Let's check this out. Let's focus on my face. I have to tap, and it focuses on my hand, I mean. Now, if I remove the hand, it doesn't focus back on my face. I have to tap to make this happen, and that is autofocus single. Now, there's also manual focus, which gives us another setting right here, the F for focus, and we can use that to manually set focus. This is the close limit. Let's see how close I can get. It focuses pretty closely. That's too close. Well, this is how close you can focus. And now I can set anything in between the close limit and basically infinity. So if you want to manually set focus, you can do it right here. Obviously, for what we are doing, AFC, autofocus continuous, is the way to go. Now, some more exposure tools right here. Now, flicker might be a problem. Let me show you. If I turn this off, you can turn this to 50 or 60 Hertz. Let me first turn it off. and then show you the problem using this. Because you can see there's some funkiness going on with my switcher. A bit of funkiness. Wait, let me exacerbate that a little. Let's say we're not using auto, let's say we're using manual. There we go. I'm now using a shutter speed of 1/200th. And these lights are not flickering at that frequency. So that's what they look like. And that's pretty annoying if you're filming, well, a switcher, for example. Now, the Obsbot does have ND filters, which would allow you to select the correct shutter speed, but I wasn't issued those. So what are my options? Now, I can go back to auto and see what that does. That usually recognizes the frequency. Or I can select 50 Hertz, or I can select 60 Hertz. Right now, it reduces flicker at 50 Hertz. So it's not perfect, as you might notice, but it's much better. So let's return to decent framing. Yeah, so pretty pro features as far as exposure is concerned. I keep messing that up. Sorry. Okay. Returning to these settings. So that's this setting, flicker reduction. Now this would be an image flip. You have to select that before hitting record, so I can't do it right now. Sorry for that. Then this is grids, simple rule of thirds grid, if you want them or if you don't want them. Then HDR, it has an HDR option that you also have to select before you start recording. And this is auto exposure lock. So you can set it to auto expose, but if you still don't want the exposure to change unless you say so, you can lock the exposure or respectively unlock it. Now down here, style, currently standard. Outdoor was a bit brighter, I think. Pastel, it's a bit less bright, I guess. But here's the important part, custom. You can dial in, well, a technical look. It's not a look, but you can technically push the image a little. From steps of 1, from 0 to 100, you can adjust sharpness, contrast. Some settings failed. I don't know which ones those are. Let's continue. Saturation, hue, and brightness. Let's do something really terrible with the hue. Let's go all the way here. So I'm pretty much purple. Now, if you set something up that you don't like, bottom left corner, undo these changes. If you have set something up that you like, and standard is pretty good, I think, bottom right corner, tap the check mark icon. Then right here, you can set the white balance. Now there's presets again, auto, daylight, which looks fine, fluorescent, tungsten, cloudy, and custom. Now, I like 5600 because I know that's a good average for daylight. So, pretty cool features for exposing and dialing in an image. Also, some pro features, I'd say. But that concludes that. Now right here, this is where you could play back previously recorded videos. Since I'm currently recording, I can't access that. But this is basically your overview of where your recorded videos are stored. And as I said, you can select the Obsbot to record internally, select the device that you're using to control to record, or the streaming service you're using. All of this would be selectable and would show up right here if I wasn't recording. Now bottom, right here, now we're talking. One of the hallmark features, and before I do that, let me adjust the framing a little so I still show up. Yeah, like this. Now, one of the hallmark features, one of the absolutely most cool things ever, is AI gesture control. And this stuff works. So let's enter that. You can use different gestures to select a target, well, namely yourself, or any person can do that, to start and stop recording, to zoom in and out, and you can select how much it zooms in and out when using this gesture. And you even have a gesture for dynamic zoom, and you can flip the direction. So I'm going to show you what I mean when I do this, because we're going to check out all of those. Except the ones for starting and stopping recording. You're just going to have to believe me that it works, because I don't want to interrupt my recording. So let's do this. Let's demonstrate this. Now, this gesture will start tracking me, which is awesome. And as you might have noticed, there's a bit of a delay. It takes like a second for the action that the gesture is for to execute. That's because the Obsbot wants to prevent to start tracking in this case by something that you do coincidentally or not on purpose. So it requires you to hold the gesture for a second in order to make sure that you're actually doing the gesture on purpose, not by mistake or, as I mentioned, coincidentally. So there's a little delay, but it really ensures that gestures only work when they're supposed to. Mostly, like 99.9% of the time. Every once in a while, somebody or you might make a gesture subconsciously that resembles one of the gestures, one of the AI gestures, and things can go haywire. But the 1 second delay and needing to hold the gesture, that usually works really, really well. So as you can see right now, I am being tracked. I'm being recognized as a person and I'm being tracked. Now, let's say I want to address the audience in a more personal way. I might want to zoom in. Again, have to hold this for a bit. And there we go, zooming in. And as you can see, it's a 4K camera. Cut myself shaving, poor me. And it's still very, very good resolution, even zoomed in. Now you can also zoom out. And the gesture, by the way, will be recognized even if on your feed it's not seen, because the Obsbot always recognizes the gesture or looks for gestures inside the whole viewing angle. So even if you're zoomed in and you're doing the gesture outside of the actual frame that you're streaming, the gesture will still be recognized. Now, let's try something else. Let's get up and see how it follows me. Yeah, pretty damn cool. We're gonna get back to this screen later on, but as you can see, it follows me around. Even from back here, I can do the zoom gesture if I want to be a bit closer. Awesome. Super awesome. And it works. I am truly a happy camper. We can stop tracking me, so I can move around a bit. I can still zoom out and move around. And once I want to be tracked again, I'm just going like this, and I'm tracked again. Should I go ahead of myself a little? Yeah, since I'm standing already and I don't want to get up again. Now let's check out about this height, the second option from the top on the left menu. Now I have more options, because if the Obsbot recognizes that somebody is standing up, you're automatically getting options for close-up, for half body, and for full body. But that only works if the Obsbot recognizes that there is the whole body of a person visible. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. So let's move back. Let's sit down again. And for the time being, let's stop tracking myself. Let's adjust the framing again so I show up. Okay, and let's continue inside the menu. So for sure, gesture control, most awesome thing ever. Okay, built-in mic, that's also pretty cool. It has a built-in mic that works pretty well. There's the audio settings. You can have the gain set automatically, or you can set it yourself up here. You can mute. And now you hear me again. So muting is useful because if you're not recording, not everything that everybody is saying needs to be technically on air. Something else you can also do is monitor your audio. I would suggest you use like a standard or the most simple version of headphones you can get, actually. They will work just fine. You can hook those up to your device and then monitor the audio you're getting. Super, super simple. And there we go, monitoring audio. Now this will also play back on the device itself if you have not hooked up headphones. Let me just remove those. Those are just for demonstration. But if you don't want everybody to be able to monitor audio, hooking up a headset to the device you're using to control the OBSBOT is super easy. Noise reduction, I leave that set to 3, because at 3, if there's little background noise, it kicks in a little. If there's a lot, it kicks in a lot. It's kind of an auto setting, so I like it this way. At 3, it's going to alter the sound of your voice a little, but not too much. I'd rather have my audience understand what I'm saying with a voice that's not 100% mine, that sounds a bit altered, instead of them not being able to clearly hear me. So I leave it set to 3. Then obviously you could also turn off the built-in mic, but then you have to, before you do that, if you still want audio, you have to connect a different mic. Let me move to this shot. I have a little shotgun mic right here. Now that's not the optimal way to do this. You would need a longer cable, but you can just basically hook that up and then turn the built-in mic off. And now you're getting the audio off of this mic. And that's how easy this is. You can use this, as I said, to hook up any kind of mic for as long as you can adapt it to a 3.5 millimeter input, which the OBSBOT has. Let's switch back to the internal mics, but that's how easy this is. Moving on, phase autofocus on and off, phase auto exposure on and off, setting the upper and lower limits of the ISO. Now the lower limit usually isn't touched. The upper limit is most likely what you're going to lower, because, for example, I would prefer a cleaner image that's a bit underexposed to a correctly exposed image that is dirty. But that is personal preference. So, cancel that. Now, moving on, UVC mode, you can use it as a webcam. NDI is an advanced streaming protocol. You need a license for that. If you have it, you can activate it. Real-time streaming protocol, same thing. If you're, well, most streaming services have this option. It's a very good protocol for streaming. The OBSBOT also has it. Very nice. Media settings. Now, since I'm recording, I can change the settings for recording. There is 24, 25, and 30 frames per second for 4K recording, and 50 and 60 additionally for 1080p recording. Now you can select a different encoder, H.264, 265, a different bitrate, low, medium, and high, and a different resolution, or different resolutions, 1080p or full K. Now for recording internally, I would ramp this up to the max. And 4K H.264, high bitrate is 70 Mbits. So that's actually not shabby at all. Now for streaming, you can also select different options like H.265, maybe a medium bitrate and a lower resolution, depending on your bandwidth, how much bandwidth you have, basically. You can adjust this to stream with very minimal data per second or with a lot. If you have a strong connection, obviously you can ramp that up as well. HDMI output, 1080p for monitoring is super fine, no problems whatsoever. If you want to record with the device that you're outputting the signal to, you have the option to ramp this up to 4K. But for monitoring, 1080p, totally fine. Tail Air settings. Yeah, this all of these settings speak to the fact that this is also meant to be able to be used in an array of multiple OBSBOTs in a stereo environment over network connection. So these are different options to power this thing on and off. I'm not going to go into those in detail. Status light, you can turn it on and off, which would be a shame because it really looks like the Knight Rider. You could do this if it distracts you, if the light itself messes with your lighting, but it's not very powerful, or if you're trying to save on the last bits of battery life. As a compromise, you can set the brightness in steps of 1 from 0 to 5. Is it 0? Let me try this. Why does it not work? No, from 1 to 5. Okay, then the buzzer. Well, is it a buzzer? I don't know. The bling, the ding you hear when you start and stop a recording, you can turn this on and off, which is pretty cool because you might not want that on the audio of another camera. Plug and unplug to power on and off. So if you hook it up to a cable, and then supply power to this cable, the Obsbot automatically powers on or off in case you take the power away from the cable. So this is an easy way to turn this thing on and off from far away. If this is rigged to the corner of the room, for example, and is very inaccessible, that's an easy way to power it on and off in a studio environment. Customize buttons. Okay, the remote control currently is hooked up. Yeah, that's this thing right here. You've already seen it. And I can use it to control the Obsbot. If this is not hooked up, you're not getting this menu item. Now I could, well, what could I do? Customize the buttons, but I'm not going to do that right now because that's not necessary. Yeah, but this is the remote control, and that's the menu for it. Now, SD card I can currently access, but you could, because I'm recording, but you could format the SD card and you can see how much space is still available on that SD card. Video segmentation, in case of longer recordings, for example, the ones that I'm doing right now, when is the Obsbot going to segment the file? So you can select 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. The Obsbot does not drop frames in between segments, so 4 GB makes the most sense to me because in case of data loss, the least amount of recording is lost. I forgot to set that to 4. I'm now running at 8, and I can change it obviously while I'm recording. Still good. Reset all connections. So the Obsbot works in a Wi-Fi environment. If you're in different environments, all the connections are recorded or stored. You can reset all of this right here. Reset factory settings, self-explanatory. Feedback. Now this everybody should have. For example, I really like the audio options, but I would like them accessible from the user interface so I don't have to menu dive. This is something I could enter right here. About the device, so if you're running a complex network configuration, here's all the info that you need. And on the bottom, here you can update the firmware for the Obsbot and the remote controller. Cool. Okay, we're already 30 minutes in, so the 30-minute time mark has passed. Let's check out all the options down here. Let's start with AI. So, and for this, let's start tracking me again. So first option, I'm going to stand up again. First option, are we still recording? Yeah, okay. First option, when a person is completely inside the field of view, how do you want it to be tracked? With what kind of framing? Auto, much closer. Close up, pretty much the same in this case. Half body or full body. Then, how fast do you want it to track you? Currently, we're set to slow. We could also set this to standard, which doesn't really seem faster, but we could also set it to fast. And now this obviously follows me faster. Still follows me smoothly, no matter what I set up. But I like slow. Something else that we can do that is super cool, if we do tracking like this, and there's a different kind of tracking, I'm going to show you in a moment. If we do tracking like this, we can also set composition lines, because maybe I want to be tracked, but off to the side. So I'm using the golden cut, and maybe I want to be tracked like this, so there's less headroom. So how awesome is this? Not only can you be tracking yourself, you can also track yourself using the framing that you like. For the time being, let's undo this. So it tracks me dead center. But for example, this becomes really useful if I sit down again. And now I select this, so there's a little less headroom, and maybe this. And now I'm being tracked with a much nicer, much more balanced framing. I can either undo down here or hit the check mark. So how cool is this? I really love this feature. Then there's a second kind of tracking that doesn't allow for these composition lines, unfortunately. So let's stop the AI tracking. There's also box tracking. So basically you can track anything, but since I'm the only thing that's moving, I'm still going to track my face. And that's how easy this is. Pretty self-explanatory. The only problem being you cannot use the composition lines with this kind of tracking, which really should be a firmware update, something else that goes into the feedback section. Because I don't see the reason you don't need composition lines ever with this kind of tracking. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it should be pretty simple, actually, to make that happen. Anyway, these are the two kinds of tracking, and this is the AI menu. Oh, I have to exit this first. Okay, maybe let's start tracking my whole body again. Yeah, there we go, with the nice framing. This is this menu. Let's exit. Then there's the box tracking again out here. Then this, I've already shown you this. Right here, we can manually select what the OBSBOT does. For that, I'm turning the tracking off, because if I change something here and I'm still being tracked, it will always automatically return. So pretty simple. Left, right, up, down, pan, tilt. Down here, speed, turtle is slow, and rabbit is fast. So rabbit for, well, rough framing, and turtle for, well, final adjustments, let's say. That's pretty simple. Then this I'm going to jump over. This I'm going to jump, well, I can show you. This just gives you the basic framing, without pan, without tilt, in case you want to return to this. Now, the real cool thing, and definitely one of the hallmark features right after AI gestures, is that you can set up custom framing and log these frames in. Yeah. So, if I like this framing as my main shot, I just hit down here P+. The P sign, the P1 icon shows up, and now this is registered as my first frame. Let's say I also want to show you the switcher. So I'm moving to the switcher, and you can set this up before you start the recording, obviously. Let's say this is the framing I'm going for the switcher. So once again, I hit P+, the P2 sign shows up. Now this is registered as my second frame. In total, I can register 3. That seems arbitrary. Maybe they're gonna up that number later on via firmware. I don't know. So let's say the camera is my third, P+ once more, and it's registered. And now I have all these frames accessible by just tabbing them. Tabbing them, yeah. So I can seamlessly move in between my preset frames. Now I can also combine this with digital zooming. So let's say the shot of my switcher isn't close enough. So can I do this from here, maybe? Yeah, there we go. So just so you know, I selected the 4th icon from the left. That is digital zoom. And now I can either hit the 3rd icon from the left and use the slider to select the zoom. And I mean, you can get really, really close. Or really wide, which doesn't make sense because that's your original zoom level. So let's go to 2 maybe. If I don't want to set it up like this, I can also pinch zoom with my fingers to get the framing that I want. And I can move this around the frame to wherever, really. But this is how you can set up framing. And it's pretty simple, pretty intuitive, and works really well. Now, second from the left, what is this? Oh, that returns me to normal. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that returns me to no zoom at all. So let me set this up again real quickly. And yeah, let's say this is what I want. Now to update it, I tab hold P2, and it gives me the option to either delete or update. And now let's exit this menu. If I go to P1, it zooms out and gives me this framing. But if I go to P2, it automatically zooms in. And as you can see, the autofocus, it's not a face detection system, is a bit sluggish, but it'll get there eventually. That's maybe one of the cons that needs to be mentioned. The autofocus isn't super fast, but once it catches on, it's pretty reliable. Yeah, and there we go. That's all the great things you can do with the OBSBOT Tail Air. A fantastic little device, and I gotta say, it's been a long time since I had that much fun experimenting with a new device, with new technology. The one thing you might mention is that because of the small sensor, you're not getting background blur. That's just not in the cards at this point. Maybe if technology increases or gets better, you can, even with a moving camera, like on the fly, blur it out digitally. But as of yet, these are the images that you're getting. AI gestures, preset frames. So for anybody who does streaming and needs different camera angles and wants everything combined within one device that's pretty easily set up, although it is very feature rich, definitely check out the OBSBOT Tail Air, because it's fun using it and it works like a charm. And it has a lot of functionality that I couldn't even show you because it's so versatile in how it can be set up and controlled. Yeah. The one thing I should also probably mention, for the app to work, you have to register an account with OBSBOT and you have to allow positional data. Yeah, that's something to mention. Okay, apart from that, we are above 40 minutes. Time to wrap this up. I hope you got a good idea of what the OBSBOT can do, of maybe what it can do for you and the situation that you're in right now, and how easy it is to set all of this up. It takes a little getting used to, but after like 20-30 minutes of just experimenting with the user interface, you should be able to easily get the hang of things. I mean, they did a really good job. Oh yeah, something else that I forgot to mention, you can move this everywhere you like if it annoys you in the top right-hand corner, but I like it there. Yeah, that's the features, that's the quality you can get from the OBSBOT Tail Air. A 4K capable, high brightness, PTZ camera system, I'd say. Can be used standalone, can be used within an array of multiple OBSBOTs, and overall, just fun to use. So, if you liked the video, if you found it helpful, please make note to the I'm gonna do that again, because 30 more seconds, no problem with a video that's already 43 minutes long. So, if you liked the video, if you found it helpful, please make sure to leave a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. Any kind of comment or feedback is welcome, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. All the tech that I've used in this video is linked in the description. As always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.